All right, welcome to the Friday Focus. So special guest in the office. And I'm going to tell you what, the good news for some of you is we're not going to talk about whatever I talked about the last time my guest was in the office. I don't remember. I think it was like pornography or something, right? I mean, we had Mark in here, right? So the good news is David and I are not going to talk about that today for those of you that made you uncomfortable, right? And so David Ahearn is here, and so great having you. And so he and I just finished up. We went in the studio and recorded a practice building CD, and so I thought maybe we'd do a Friday Focus too. Great. And so David is you were a long-term member, right?
So as long as there were membership was possible.
I wonder when, I need to look that up, right? Because I should know that. Sorry, I don't know that. I appreciate it. But 5X member, private client, and so let's just talk a little bit about your office, right? Let's talk about I know you have your office, and then David has the design business. I know a lot of you he's built offices for, and so you have relationships. It's all 5X members. So
as much as we, dentists know us from the design and equipping side, I'm a 5X member. Right. I'm a private member. What has made all of this so wonderful is me doing exactly what everybody should be doing in their 5X journey. That's awesome. That we live that journey. That's what we do every day. All of this, and on the dental side, I always knew that we were the most productive dentists. Mm-hmm. I never knew, and by never I mean never. I never knew how much fun this could be. Yeah. The entire journey on the dental practice side. In fact, it's created a little bit of conflict in that we're having so much fun over there. Yeah. There's so much gratification over there every day that it's kind of competitive with the work we do on the design side, because that just continues to grow and the satisfaction of patients gets better and better from what has happened here in the 5X journey.
So you're going into a third office, right? You have plans for a third office.
Plans for a third office.
So tell me, if you go 1, 2, 3, how much
Three is interesting. Three is interesting because 2 is hard. If you've got the ability to go ahead and expand a solo office, do that. Mm-hmm. I want to be clear. Right. Do that. We didn't have that choice. We really, to go ahead and grow and meet our God-given ability on the dental side, and simultaneously to know how to lead other doctors to grow in this 5X potential, I had to build that other office, and it's 20 miles away from the first office. During a really bad recession, all of the things that are irrelevant, cold start office. Yeah. Well, that learning is a phenomenal learning curve. Let me tell you, if you're going to do that, build the call center first. Wow. First and foremost. Something that 5 years ago we really weren't even talking about. Yeah. So there are a whole bunch of things that you learn in that. The third office, I think, is a very different animal. Because once you can do 2, 3 is really not that big a deal. Yeah. Because you know that you've got to have central command and control. You know that your systems have to be fabulous from day one. You know what that means and how to go ahead and do that. So it's actually exciting to do that. The second one, not so much.
Yeah. So one of the things that's important, and I want to, you and I have had dialogue on this, and I think that the advantage of using David and his firm for you guys is that he is a 5X member. And so he understands what you're trying to do. I mean, literally, instead of going,
we're doing it.
If you go talk to your, let me kind of think about it this way, and I'll just ask you this question and then you answer it. So if you wanted to figure that out, the real difference would be, what's the difference between you getting a 5X client, who's a real 5X client, and you getting just a stranger dentist off the street who hasn't been kind of indoctrinated or trained in what's right versus so how dramatically different is it in that experience for you?
Twice as difficult for us to go ahead. The dialogue that we have with the 5X client, the commonality of language, their understanding of what their potential is. Most doctors designing a dental office are designing in abject fear. They know they have to do something. But there's not a moment of joy in this thing.
It's like torment.
It's torment. You just have to do it for whatever reason. There's a small minority that you're in just kind of the lucky
funny.
location club, so it's an odd relationship for us.
Yeah.
It's not that you go to buy a car, somebody wants to buy it. We've got these folks that they know they have to buy something, but they don't like any of the process. Wow. With 5X, we have people, now there's still the fear, and we hope to do something about that, but at least they've got clarity on knowing why they're doing what they're doing.
And then, but the other people, right? So and I think some important differences, and David and I spent some time talking about this, but when you guys are building an office and you're thinking about your next office, you want to decrease the depreciating asset side, which means you want to spend less on the depreciating assets, which is operatories. Right. And then you want to increase so I want to spend less on depreciating assets. I want to improve overall productivity, and I want to maximize the leverage on my real estate investment.
So there's a little conflict in that, because the real estate is going to appreciate. The equipment is where you produce the dentistry, but the equipment that you buy, it's a tool, and tools go ahead and wear out. So you need to go ahead and focus on what in that tool makes me money. And doctors don't really have a good sense of that.
So I had a client the other day, and she's a private client, and we're having this conversation, and she's very proud of her office, but she can build out 8 more operatories. Now I can tell you today that her challenge is they're 8 times 60,000, okay?
Don't do that.
And when you take 8 times 30 or 32,000,
right.
It's just a different number.
It's a different math.
And so
you'll jump at the first math. You will go ahead and do everything possible to avoid the $60,000 math.
Right.
Because you're not going to build a hygiene room for $60,000 and go ahead and feel comfortable you're going to make that cash flow.
Right.
It's just it's a whole different effect where at 2 o'clock in the afternoon that room's empty, which it probably should be. If you've got enough operatories in most towns, that thing should be, one of those rooms ought to be empty at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And suddenly at $60,000 you're trying to fill, you're trying to sell breakfast at lunchtime. It just, it doesn't make any sense.
So
and
true.
it's all an artifact of the fact that you spent too much for this thing.
So talk about some fun projects. So you're building offices for 5X members. Is there anything that's, we don't have to go into names, but I know there's a lot of guys that you're doing cool stuff with.
There's so many just great doctors. For me, and I want to make sure for anybody listening, I am so honored to be involved with the docs that we're working with. Because, if I give 100 good ideas out, I guarantee you that there's a good idea back from each one of those offices that becomes part of that bulk of knowledge as we build forward. And just, I spend all my time with 5X docs. I for anybody that happens to get this CD that isn't in that world, I'm hiding from you.
They don't, because it's
okay,
all
good. Okay, good. Well,
so we're just talking in our own little,
maybe clandestine, sales of these.
We're talking.
Anyway, I'm hiding. Okay,
man, we're on a time schedule here. We're like, this isn't going to go long, right? So you got to do all your talking quick.
So we hide from those folks because my time is spent entirely with 5X docs.
Well, we appreciate it.
And there's just so much good going on. We've got so many 15 and 20 chair offices going that are really going to impact their community, going to change the entire delivery of healthcare in their community. It's a great thing.
We don't have a lot of time in this because we try to be sort of short. So I want to say the first thing is that I do want you guys to know that if you are thinking about an office, I strongly recommend you use David. And we've had a
huge honor.
Great relationship, and I don't get any negative feedback about what you guys do, which is a huge deal. And I know our guys that have used you. I know sometimes we got to unwind them. It's amazing how people want to sometimes stay in the thing they have that's not good for them. And so I just do my best to get them to you.
It's a natural, it's a hostage situation. You've been a hostage before. You tend to stay in that same relationship. So it takes a while to go ahead and get people to understand there's a new way of doing this. But I've studied this for 20 years.
What I want to talk about is what David and I also today, I think our vision's sort of relative to your design firm. One of the things that I've asked David, and I have been talking for years with him, and I think we're going to get closer to this, and it's sort of exciting, and I think he might even be willing to take a test case on this, but I think we have a common goal, which is a turnkey office, and we have really a common goal of taking the headache out of the new office for a client.
It has to happen, and it's not. When Jay said, you ought to do this, I knew it, but I was in denial.
Right.
typical dentist situation. So I was in denial because it's going to be a pain in the neck to do. There are a lot of steps to go ahead. To go ahead and do turnkey, we had to be the best at site selection.
Yeah.
So we had to become the best at that. That was 16 months. We have to then have the best contractor that can go national. We have to have the best engineers. Okay, there are so many steps to do that. But the reason it had to happen was when most dentists finally make the decision and pull the trigger to go ahead and build that new office is the time they have the least amount of time.
Yeah.
It's they're at flat out
They
capacity.
should be super busy in their office.
Right, and so they got to take their attention off of being super busy, where they should be tunnel focused onto a project that they in their lifetime they might do once.
I tell everybody, here's what happens. You're cooking, and that's why you got the chutzpah to build the new office. You now get in the office business. You stop cooking. Your expenses rise dramatically, and then you're in this stressful implosion, and then it takes us 6 months to get you out of it once you get into the office, and then you got to buy more human capital, and it could have all been avoided by a really great strategy, which is stay productive, outsource the entire operation, and then one day just move over into the new office. And I mean, it's amazing how people
love to say
they're trying to be cheap, right? I mean, it's like, and it took me, I remember, it took a long time for me to get to the stage where I had enough trust to allow that to occur. So I've told people a lot about the Phoenix building, right? I only went there like 3 or 4 times, and that was it. Besides when looking at some sites,
but it allowed you to stay focused on the business,
right?
And really, I mean, if you think, what should doctors be doing during this time? Growing human capital. You're going to have to staff this new place on day one, and so they're spending all their time wearing a contractor hat instead of building. You ought to have people for every spot in training. You're going to have, so there's going to be a decrease in net revenue per full-time employee during the time you're hiring up, bringing those folks in. The last thing you need to be doing is hiring those folks up, having the net revenue per full-time employee decrease because you got the new folks, and producing less because you're being a contractor. That's a crazy bad idea.
And I think the other thing is the fantasy of like opening day is perfect, right? I just think that's unnecessary. Opening day is where you get in, you manage the chaos, and then you just build up from there.
The facility,
right? I think it's
the
important.
facility better be perfect. The facility better be perfect. That's a deliverable.
Right.
But you're not going to be perfect in the facility.
The
That's
people
different.
are,
I mean, you are not going to be perfect in the facility because it's a place you've never been. It's a size you've never been. It's an opportunity you've never. You can't be perfect.
Just enjoy the uptick.
You just enjoy every minute
of
that.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate you.
I really look forward to it.
All right.
Thank you.
So if you guys are looking to get someone to help you build an office, reach out to David, and maybe we can just put the phone number on the bottom of the video or something on the website so everybody knows how to get in touch with you. Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
See you guys soon. Bye.
Okay.